It's a way of the Mr. Quickie, oh yeah. One of my favorite superhero movies is 2004's Spider-Man 2 with Tobey Maguire. But the idea that I want to talk about in this video comes from the original Spider-Man movie, which I also liked, and not just because Uncle Ben drove the same car I drove in 1986. The idea is simple, and I don't really know any rational person who would disagree. With great power comes great responsibility. On the most basic level, this is the idea behind the concept of personal responsibility. Where you can be, where you have the power to be, you're responsible. This idea was eventually tempered and codified in our legal system once we started to realize that some of us may not have the power, the control over who we are and what we do. I'm talking about the possibility of being not guilty by reason of insanity. In the last 40 years, we've come to understand some of the causes which can make people do things, often terrible things, to people and animals which seem absolutely depraved and inexplicable. Mental illness, chemical imbalances, and more recently, various forms of brain damage, from head injuries, tumors, and even substances ingested by a mother when the child was in the womb. Neuroscience is pushing our understanding even further, going so far as to call into question the very notion of free will. At the very least, almost all of us can agree that a person's responsibilities are severely restricted or even negated by a brain tumor, for instance, which causes a person with no previous criminal record or violent tendencies to suddenly be overcome by murderous proclivities or an unquenchable desire for kiddie porn. In those cases, we recognize that the person is not responsible for their actions because they don't or didn't have the power to do otherwise. It is the power to control oneself which makes one responsible for one's actions. With power comes responsibility. With great power comes great responsibility. Let's take that to its logical end. With all power comes all responsibility. Of course, none of us have all power. Omnipotence is the endowment and privilege of only one being, God, supposedly. If so, he and he alone is responsible for everything, all the good, all the evil, it's all on him. Even more so because he's also said to be omniscient. He knew everything that was going to happen, and he had the power to change every little thing. If you want to be literal, he created Adam and Eve knowing that they would bring evil into the world. He created the serpent to bring that about. He created the people of Canaan, whom he would order wiped off the face of the earth, leaving nothing alive that breathes. He created all of this knowing the suffering he would inflict on sentient beings. Did he have to? No. He's all-powerful. Could he have done it another way? Yeah, because he's all-powerful. God created everything to play out exactly the way it has played out, and will continue to play out. Slavery, misogyny, genocide. These are things he actually helped perpetrate. But cancer, COVID, ISIS, the Holocaust, your rape, your father's murder, your daughter's drowning. God is ultimately and irredeemably responsible for all of it. He made you the way he made you, not just knowing that you would do what you have done and will do, but so you would do what you have done and will do. He's used that knowledge to arrange things so that everything ultimately plays out according to his will. That includes every moment of suffering, from that hangnail annoying you right this second to the hideous tortures inflicted by those conducting the Inquisition. That's why he made those torturers in the first place. Everything that happens in this universe is God's responsibility. We are not guilty of sin. He's guilty of creating us knowing we would sin, and failing to create us in such a way as to guard against that. Think about that for a minute. In order to get what he wanted, so that his will be done, he created a world where the constant suffering of sentient beings was certain. Suffering so terrible, many of us can't even bear to hear of it. And none of it was necessary. With all power comes all responsibility. Praise the Lord, not a goddamn chance.